Wendy.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Coffee Talk Moms. Today, we're so excited on the show. We have Principal Michelle Shoulders from Pin Oak Middle School, located in Houston, Texas. Thank you so much for being here, Principal Shoulders. Can you just take a few minutes to, tell us about yourself and tell us about your school?
Thank you so much for inviting me today. It's a pleasure to be with you guys. This is my 30th year in education. I was a teacher as well as an administrator in both Colorado and Texas. Most recently, I was one of the assistant principals at Bel Air High School. And then 2 years ago, I was given the great privilege to join Pin Oak Middle School as the principal. And I absolutely love it. I've taught elementary, middle, and high school, and there is nothing like a building full of middle school kids. They're a blast, they're fun, they're easy to love, they're funny, and very smart. And so we enjoy getting to experience middle school with them. I'm also a mom. We've raised 6 kids, and only one left at home, the baby of the family, and he's definitely spoiled, but fun, and he'll be a freshman at Bel Air High School next year. I love being a part of this community. We live here, we work here, and we really enjoy it. At Pin Oak, we have 1,271 kids on our roster. We have kids from all different kinds of backgrounds. Because we're an application school, the kids either come in as a magnet student or as a boundary student. We gather kids from Pershing Middle School, Meyerland Middle School, and Jane Long Middle School for our 2 houses, boundary houses, and the diversity is wide, and we love that. We have a little bit of everything at Pin Oak Middle School, but we all wear blue, gray, and white. Those are our school colors. And when we walk in the building, we are all Chargers. Now, and the building looks a little different now. And so that's one of the topics I hope we get to talk about today is how are we taking our learning from the brick and mortar building to the virtual distance learning platform, and how are we still going to make Pin Oak Pin Oak? How are we still going to have our kids leave us with confidence? That's one of the things and goals and values we have at Pin Oak, because we want every kid to try something new, to try to find out who they are and learn to advocate for themselves, to be able to say, I'm great at. It's either math or science, or maybe it's choir or playing the guitar or art or athletics. We're a comprehensive school, and our job is to individualize as much as we can so every kid leaves feeling great about themselves in something. So that's been our big challenge. How do we take that from the building to the living room or to the kitchen table? And we have worked hard all summer, and we're really proud of the virtual platform that we're going to have for our families this year.
Well, thank you for being here. This is great. We're looking forward to your perspective as a principal to help parents exactly what you said. So we're going to get right into it and get to those questions. So with HISD being the 7th largest district in the United States with over 215 students, man, when is school scheduled to start for you, and how does that look? Are you guys virtual? Are you going to be online? A hybrid combination? So what is that going to look like in the next fall year?
It's a great question. We're going to be virtual. Classes start September 8th. However, we are going to get into full swing the week of September 1st. September 1st, our 6th graders are going to do a drive-through. They're going to drive through our Circle Drive. They're going to get all of their school supplies that they pre-ordered, their schedule, their ID. It's going to be just like a Charger camp. We call it Charger camp normally, except they don't get out of the car. Buckle up, roll the window down, and drive through. All their teachers are going to wave at them as they drive through, get everything that they need for school. And then that evening, they're going to log in from 6 to 7 with a new group called the Connection Groups. We've hired some counselors who are working with us on the social emotional aspect of keeping kids engaged and their social skills and development, what they think. There's a lot going on in the world. I mean, there's a global pandemic and a lot of change. And so we want to make sure that we're reaching each kid, not just math, science, English, and social studies, but also where they are developmentally as 11, 12, and 13-year-olds. So every member of our school, adult member of our school, will have a connection group. We're hoping to keep the groups around 10 to 12. So the kids will meet their connection group that evening, whichever grade level they are. So 6th graders go first, then 7th grade, then 8th grade will drive through. And then Friday, the 4th, before school even starts or anything, we're going to do a practice run. We want all of our kids and all of our parents to feel successful Friday, or work out all the kinks. There may be some tears. A kid may log in to first period and that's really not their first period. It's the same thing that happens normally in a middle school. You know, when the bell rings the first day of school and they go to class, they accidentally go to gym and they were supposed to be in art, you know, and they panic. Well, we're prepared for the same thing to happen virtually. They're going to accidentally go to the wrong class at the wrong time or something like that. So we want to practice with them Friday. We're going to encourage the parents to sit with them if they can, if they're able, to kind of help them maneuver their way through the virtual world to hit each one of their classes. Then we're going to be available all weekend long to help any family. Either their device didn't work or they weren't able to log in or the kiddo didn't know where to go or their Wi-Fi didn't work or something. We're going to work all weekend long to help them clean up all of those pieces. We have Chromebooks parents can check out if they want to check one out. And then when our first day of school happens on September 8th, our goal is to have 100% attendance. We will have practiced everything. This is ideal, right? We have big goals, lofty goals. But our goal is September 8th for all of the kids to be able to log in. At Penn Oak, we have a virtual schedule. Well, it's very similar to our normal schedule. We are a block. Each one of our kids takes 8 classes, 4 core and 4 elective. And so they have 8 classes. On blue days, they meet with 4 of their classes, and on silver days, they meet with the other 4. So we're going to go ahead and follow that same schedule. So the first day of school, we're going to start out with morning announcements, a live morning announcements. Our goal is to bring Penn Oak into their family room or their kitchen table or wherever they set up with their kids. And then the kids will go to all four classes right in a row. So we're doing our best. We know that there will be problems. We have high expectations for ourselves as well as our kiddos, but we're hoping to help meet those and to problem solve. I have an amazing administrative team and made up of 3 counselors and then 3 administrators and lots of other help, you know, just specialists and different things. And we're going to be ready to help any family on call, whatever we can do to help them until we get all the kids engaged, just like normal school. It takes, what, 2 weeks for a middle school kid to get adjusted, find friends to eat with at lunch and get into the rhythm. And so we keep telling ourselves it's going to be the same with the virtual world. There will be tears. We'll have to talk with the families. The only thing we can't do is give them a hug, and that's probably the part that we miss the most. Middle school kids need that. They like to stand close to you. They need a hug every now and then or a high five or a knuckle bump. So I think that's the part we miss the most about them. But we're going to do our best, just getting things going and trying to be as normal as possible. Anyways, that's what our first day and first week will look like.
That sounds really good. Let me ask you, we're going to get a lot of families asking me about the day-to-day. I know there's information out that there's a schedule, which you share with me. Penn Oak's going to do a block schedule where you're going to have the blue day and the silver day. So what does that look like with the student logging in and checking? Because I know that HISD is going to be taking roll. So does that mean when they take roll, is they're going to have to check in all classes? Are they going to sit in the entire 45 minutes or 55 minutes to block schedule time, and there's going to be a lecture the entire time or pre-recorded? So what is that going to look like for our students, and let our parents know that?
That's a great question too. At Penn Oak, we're going to ask them to be online with us. Now we have shortened our day just a little bit. It's not good for kids to sit on the computer for 8 hours a day. It's just not healthy for them. So like I said, they're going to do 4 classes each day. The classes are about an hour and 10 minutes. And then we purposely built in some 10-minute breaks in between. Our PE classes are going to give them some challenges like charger jacks or sit-ups or push-ups or go, you know, run outside with the dog real fast or get a snack. We're going to really stress that with the kids. And then for the hour and 10 minutes that they're engaged with the teacher, it's not all just lecture where they sit and listen quietly and the teacher's talking and they're all those, I don't know if you've done some virtual things and everybody's just little circles at the bottom. That's not what we want. We want the kids engaged. And so through the hub, which is the system HISD is using, and Teams, that's the online platform that we're using to teach with, the teachers are able to create channels in small groups. And so we are taking our teachers through all kinds of training, Kagan training, cooperative groups, different things like that. We're trying to get the kids engaged and talking as much as possible. And so sometimes the teachers will start out together and then break the kids up into groups. They can have an alpha day or a number day, and they have already, you know, told the kids what groups they're in, and it's for very short periods of time. So they may say, okay, today I want you to go to your A group and you have 4 minutes to solve this problem and then come back and I want to see who can do it. And so the kids will have little links that they can click on very quickly. They'll already know ahead of time, just like in school, we've taught them procedures, you know, where to turn in your assignments, which group day is which group day. All of that stuff that we do in the classroom, we're going to do virtually as well. We know that it'll take a little while to teach everybody, and sometimes people will get lost, but that happens in the classroom too. I don't know where to put my paper. You know, how many times does a teacher have to answer that question? At Pin Oak, one of the things that we have also talked about is that our kids are still developing their fine motor skills in writing. And so our teachers are going to make an extra effort to still have their colored folders or their composition books. And so they're still going to tell kids, I want you to take these notes in your composition book today, or get out your green folder. This is because we still want kids writing with a pen or a pencil. They can't just sit and listen or talk or type. 11, 12, and 13-year-olds, their little hands are still developing. And so we decided it was really important that we still teach them note-taking strategies. They're still going to have an agenda book where they're going to write their assignments down. And then, like I said, the class day, we shortened it just a little bit, so they still will engage with their teachers for an hour and 10 minutes each, those 4 teachers. But then the afternoon, they're going to have some independent time, just like you would in the classroom or after school, some homework time. It's important for them to kind of power down and then do those math problems or write that essay that their teacher gave them. So we still think that quiet time is important too.
That sounds like a well thought process. So online, we're starting with that. I would imagine that HISD eventually going to transition back into school. Have y'all looked at what that day-to-day operation is going to look like as you transition back into the school, such as, you know, walking the halls? Are all the students are going to walk the halls as freely as they like, or is there what type of changes are we looking at when the students do return back in person?
That is a huge deal. And right now, luckily, we are not the Pin Oak Independent School District, and I don't have to make that decision. I'm really glad that that rests on Dr. Lathan's shoulders and her team. At Pin Oak, like I said, we have 1,271 kids on the rolls. There is no way that 1,271 kids and 80 staff members can walk through that hall and not touch each other. It's just not possible. If we stagger our days that we come and make it half, we still don't even necessarily meet the square footage that we're supposed to have. Technically, I think we ran the numbers for Pin Oak, and every 15 days, the kids would be able to come 5 days if we ran the numbers out, square footage, and met all of the protocols. So I don't know. I already have teachers who have volunteered to teach outside. We're watching closely Rice University and some of the other schools that have that are trying some outdoor learning. We may collect tents and put tents in the parking lot. That may be our only goal. I mean, our only alternative, just in terms of being safe, socially distanced. Other than that, I have no idea how HISD will do it. Personally, I think that virtual is a little better if I can only see the kids once every 5 days. I think they're learning daily with us, you know, online is better, but I also totally understand the engagement, them wanting to play sports. That's a big deal right now. The kids are wanting to be engaged in the other parts of learning. It's not just math, science, English, and social studies. There's theater and dance and PE and all of those really fun things they want to be involved in. So at this point, Pin Oak does not have a big plan. We have some sketches that we've put on paper, but until HISD makes that decision, we don't get to say.
Oh, wow. Okay. With the fact that you're dealing with virtual and in person, but there's process and there's, you got to cut this out. I lost my thought. My staff is here waving at me. Okay. So I'm just going to go right to the next question. So what do you think middle school education will look like in the upcoming year?
Is that a question about Pin Oak, or is that a question in general?
It's a question in general. Middle school is a big thing for kids, transitioning and that sort of thing. And with, you know, as we talked about earlier about it being virtual and trying to figure out the in-person, what is that going to look like, the social emotional aspect of it. What do you think that in general as a whole, education, quality of education from a middle school perspective will look like in the upcoming year?
I think that there's 2 parts of it. With what middle school needs to do, especially through the next year with our kiddos. They're 11, 12, and 13 years old. And They're developing, like I already said, physically and academically, but they're also developing socially. And so I think there's a big burden for us, or challenge is probably a better word, a challenge for us to still keep those kids talking to each other, reading social skills, learning, making mistakes. In 11, 12, and 13-year-olds, they say things they shouldn't say, or they think jokes are funny that aren't funny. And so those connection groups that I mentioned early on are one of the things that we're going to use to help teach some of the kids those things. Our morning announcements at Pin Oak will happen on Mondays and Tuesdays, and that's me. I'm going to interview somebody, talk with somebody. We're going to talk about a character trait or something, just something to get the kids kind of thinking a little bit, maybe even a little controversial. And then Wednesday and Thursday, they meet with their connection groups, and all of us will have a connection group. And so sometimes it can be, what is she like and what is he like? Is it okay for us to be different? Is it okay for us to have our own opinions? Is it okay for us to, have different personalities? How can my personality balance out with somebody else's? And our counselors are writing that curriculum. And we hope that these small groups of 12 to 15 get to be so close that when we're finally back in the building, or we're finally able to meet out on the football field, that that's the group that the kids want to run and talk to, or want to run and see first, because that's going to be their kind of friendship through virtual for some of our kids. That's going to be their connection. On the academic side, what does middle school need to do? We've got to keep the kids learning. This is a critical stage, getting ready for high school. A lot of the decisions and choices they make in especially their math and science classes determine the AP classes and the level that they're able to reach in high school. If they don't take certain classes in middle school, they can't go all the way to calculus in high school. And so it's very important that our teachers maintain a base of rigor and challenge and follow those objectives and make sure that the kids are accountable for it. We can't just give participation grades. I logged into the computer, yay, I get 100. No, you still have lots of objectives to master. And so that's been a hot topic of how do we determine mastery when the kids are online, and we're going to do it, and we can do it. We still are going to offer every one of the levels that we offer in each one of our courses, so our kids can still continue to climb in their academic career. I think that's definitely something that's important to us, and we want to still continue to encourage every kid, no matter their background, no matter where they come from. We are an urban public school, and every one of our kids counts. And so it's important to us that we help each one. We meet them where they are, and we stretch them to grow, even this year in virtual learning.
That's great. Amanda?
Yeah, that's, excuse me. I really love the idea of the connection group. And I also love the idea of you interviewing different kids or students. I think that's great for the morale. So switching over to the parent conversation, how should parents be planning for this coming year?
I think one of the things that parents can help us do, the first thing is to get their kid out of bed and get them online with us. We've had this talk that it's funny every year, especially with some of our sixth graders, the parents want to go to class with their kids the first couple of days, and we're like, no, you can't do that. Don't be that mom. You don't want to do it. Don't come to lunch with them every day. The other kids won't want to share their grapes with them if you're sitting there. Don't be that mom. But now we can't help it. We know that there are going to be some moms who sit right beside their kid all day at school because it's virtual. And so we've kind of teased with it, and we're trying to figure out a great way to have a parent meeting to talk to the moms and dads about, don't interrupt class. You can't walk up behind them and lean over their shoulder and wave at, don't do that. This is going to be their class. So we know we'll have to laugh about it. We'll have to have fun with it. We know we may have to have some private conversations with some parents too, to say either get him out of bed, dress him, and sit him in front of the computer with us, or don't interrupt the class, please. We know every family has different obstacles and different challenges. We have some essential workers who have already told us, they're both doctors or both whatever, and they have to leave the house. And so it's going to be completely dependent on their seventh grader to get up and get in front of the computer. And so we're hoping that's how parents will help us the best, is getting them there. We'll do our part from there, and then let us know if there's something going on. If there are too many tiers at the table, then it's not working. And so they just have to communicate with us, because we can change that schedule. We can lighten the load. One of our staff members can log on with the kid in the morning to make sure they have everything set up. It's really no different than the brick and mortar building. We have some kids that show up crying every morning because they're tired because they stayed up too late. And so it'll be the same thing. We just have to work together until we get in that rhythm. So get them up and get them with us, and communicate to us when there's too many tears, because we got to figure out what's going on.
That's perfect. I love it. It sounds like there's a lot of support. And I was chuckling thinking, the mom who's going to, whisper the answer or something to her child so that he, gets the answer right. Yeah, we wouldn't want that happening. On the other side, so, as the weeks progress, what would you say, you're a mom, the expectations on the parents who, get frustrated. I've heard from a lot of the moms in my network that, they were frustrated by trying to motivate their children, or with, maintaining the schedule, or feeling like they weren't doing it right. They were comparing themselves maybe to the idea of what, the perfect parents, the homeschooling parent might look like. What are those expectations, and what sort of advice could you give?
It's going to be tough. I agree. There's different kids have different personalities. Some of the kids are hard to motivate even in the classroom. They're either stubborn, or they like to procrastinate. They like to wait till the last minute. And when they're at school, we're able to pull them aside, to talk to them, to set them literally at our desk sometimes to get the work done. And so we know that parents are going to have that same struggle at home, or even magnified. I would say definitely they need to reach out to us. Sometimes we can do it with some words of affirmation, and, kind of what I said earlier of meeting the kid where they are and then helping them grow. Figuring out some way, building a relationship with that kid and finding out what makes them click, or what's the carrot for them? What do they want to work for? Our PTO has been wonderful and amazing. They're collecting gift cards for our kids on Fridays. We're going to have a house meeting. We have 3 houses, house A, B, and C, and they grow up 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. So they get to know this one house principal, one of our administrators. We have 3 great assistant principals, and so they're going to have a house meeting on Friday and spotlight some of the kids. And so perhaps we can do some things like that, of spotlight that kiddo who needs just a little bit more encouragement. And then we're going to send them some gift cards in the mail. We want to make it a positive thing and not a negative thing. We want to bring Pin Oak, like I said, into their living room. And so just some things like that, some positive motivation, and building relationships with them. Sometimes just a teacher's checking in with a kid every morning who's not even really their teacher. It might be one of our dance teachers, or our art teacher. Finding something that makes that kid click will help.
Well, that sounds wonderful. It sounds like you really have all your ducks in a row, and you've put a lot of work and effort. And I know that our listeners are going to really appreciate all of the information. So we just wanted to thank you so much for coming on here, for your time and your attention, and answering all of our questions. And thank you for listening to Coffee Talk Moms. You can comment or subscribe. You can go to our website for upcoming videos and hot topics. And thanks for watching, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Hi, guys.
That was awesome. That was really great.